At my mom's funeral, my sister mocked my clothes. She had no idea I built a $2.8 billion fashion empire. I never thought I would be the type of person to write something like this online, but I need to get this off my chest because it's been eating at me for months. Maybe putting it out there will help me process it. My mom passed away earlier this year after a long illness. She had been declining for a while, but her actual passing still hit me harder than I thought it would. She and I had a complicated relationship, but she was still my mom. She raised us mostly on her own after our dad left when I was 10. My older sister, Emily, was 16 at the time, and she always resented me for reasons I never fully understood. Growing up, I was the quiet one. I didn't care about being popular, I didn't care about looks the way Emily did, and I definitely didn't care about wearing name brands. I wore thrift store clothes, patched up jeans, and sometimes whatever hand-me-downs our neighbors gave us. Emily was the opposite. She would spend hours at the mall, beg mom for new outfits, and act like wearing last season's jeans was the end of the world. I remember one time in high school when Emily laughed at me in front of her friends because I wore the same sweater 3 days in a row. It was one of the few sweaters I liked, and it kept me warm. Her friends laughed with her, and I remember feeling so small. That moment stuck with me. It was one of dozens like it. She was always the one with the cutting comments, and I was always the one who took them quietly. Fast forward 20 years. A lot has happened since those high school days. I moved out, put myself through design school, and started a small clothing business from my tiny apartment. I was obsessed with creating things that looked good, but also made people feel comfortable in their own skin. My mom didn't fully get it, but she supported me in the ways she could. She'd sometimes send me $20 if she could spare it, and she always told me she was proud even when I failed. The business took off slowly. Then, all at once, I partnered with the right people, made the right connections, and the timing was perfect. Over the years, my brand exploded. I ended up signing major deals, and suddenly what started as me sewing clothes on a secondhand machine became an empire. As of this year, Forbes listed my company at a $2.8 billion valuation. I don't say that to brag, but just to paint the picture. My life now looks completely different than what anyone in my family would expect from the kid who wore the same patched-up jeans for 4 years. The thing is, I never really talked about my success with Emily. Part of it was that we drifted apart. She stayed in her hometown, got married, had kids, and as far as I could tell, lived a fairly ordinary life. I never wanted to make her feel bad or like I was rubbing anything in her face. Our relationship was strained enough already, so I didn't bring it up. She knew I worked in fashion, but I doubt she ever bothered to learn more than that. So then came the funeral. I showed up in a simple black dress that I designed myself. It wasn't flashy. It was elegant and understated because I didn't want to draw attention to myself on a day that was supposed to be about mom. I sat near the front, keeping to myself, trying not to fall apart. When I walked outside after the service, I overheard Emily talking to one of her friends. She didn't notice I was close enough to hear. She laughed and said, "Of course she shows up in some cheap dress. Some things never change." Her friend chuckled along, and I just froze there for a second. I can't even describe the mix of emotions that hit me in that moment. Grief, anger, sadness, but also this strange sense of clarity. Here we were burying the woman who gave up everything for us, and my sister still couldn't resist taking a jab at me about clothes, like we were still in high school. I didn't say anything right then. I couldn't. I was too raw and hurt. But later that night, after the reception, Emily came up to me and made another comment. She looked me up and down and said, "You couldn't even bother to buy something nice for Mom's funeral?" She said it quietly, but with that same sneer she's had her whole life. That's when I snapped. I told her the dress I was wearing was one of my own designs. I told her that the same design had been worn on runways in Paris and Milan. I told her that while she was busy mocking me for cheap clothes, my brand was being valued at $2.8 billion. I told her that maybe she should think twice before assuming she knows someone's worth based on appearances. Her jaw literally dropped. She thought I was lying at first, but one of my cousins who follows my company confirmed it. Emily went pale and then stormed off. She hasn't spoken to me since. Now here's the part one can't stop turning over in my head. I didn't want to reveal all of that. I never wanted to shove my success in her face. But at the same time, I feel like she pushed me to that point. I've spent my whole life being belittled by her, and on the day we buried our mom, she chose to keep tearing me down. I couldn't take it anymore. I don't know what I was hoping to gain by telling her. It's not like it will fix our relationship. If anything, it probably made things worse. Part of me regrets saying it, but another part of me feels like I finally stood up for myself after years of letting her walk all over me. Mom always wanted us to be close, and I feel like I failed her in that way. But at the same time, closeness has to go both ways. I don't know how to forgive someone who has mocked me at every stage of my life, even during something as sacred as a funeral. I guess I just needed to say this somewhere, to get it out, because now that the dust has settled, all I feel is tired. Tired of carrying this weight, tired of trying to make peace with someone who never wanted peace with me. Maybe someday Emily and I will talk again. Or maybe we won't. But I know one thing. I'm done letting her decide how I see myself.